Hi, my name is Tamara, and you are watching Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Thanks so much for watching again today. As you know, if you've watched some of my other videos, I'm not a professional at this do-it-yourself stuff. I'm just a girl who's figured out that there are a lot of things around my house and out in the yard and on my cars that I can do myself and save myself a lot of time and sometimes even some money. So hopefully you've saved both those things now too. So today I'm really excited. I'm going to be taking out the old thermostat on my air conditioner and replacing it with a thermostat that I can program and that I can control from my smartphone, which is kind of a big thing to me. I've been trying to, install things in the house here and there that I can control from that. So without further ado, let's get started. So the things that you'll be needing today, well, first and foremost and most important, of course, is going to be your new thermostat. I chose to get the Honeywell Wi-Fi thermostat. And by the way, if you're just changing out for a regular thermostat, everything that I'm going to show you here pretty much still applies. But it just so happens that like I said, I want one that I can control from my phone, because it would be really nice to be on my way home and to be able to turn the air in the house cooler or warmer, depending on the time of year, and have the house comfortable whenever I get home, because I don't leave my air turned down, to cold while I'm gone. So there's, 100 different brands. It just so happens that this Honeywell had exactly what I wanted, which was, touch screen, and it tells you temperature on the inside of the house, on the outside, humidity. It gives you the weather forecast for the next week. Yeah, so all that stuff was kind of what I was looking for. So that's why I got this one. You do want to make sure that the voltage on your thermostat matches your current one. They're usually going to be 24 volts. I was looking at one that was a 110, so that would not have worked with my setup. So just be aware that you do need to make sure that you have the correct voltage on your current and new thermostat. Okay, so this comes with, of course, a back plate, which will need to be installed, which has these neat little sheetrock screws. So you'll want to have a drill available that has the appropriately sized bit. You'll want to have a level to make sure you don't install your thing crooked. You might want to have a screwdriver or drill driver, impact driver, there we go, available, just so that you don't have to hand screw everything. You'll probably need to have a hammer. And then as far as getting the other one out, I have both a Phillips and a regular screwdriver available, because I'm not for sure what's behind the other thermostat at the moment. And you'll also want to have a roll of masking tape and something with which to make little marks. So I think that's all. So let's start ripping that thing off the wall. Not ripping, we're going to carefully remove it so the wall is still intact, but let's get going. So at this point, you guys are probably about as familiar with my breaker box as I am. Hopefully you're also that familiar with your own. So since an air conditioner runs off of electricity, what is the first thing that we always do whenever we're working with electricity? We cut off its power supply so that we don't get fried, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and flip the breaker for my AC. Now it should be off. So just in case you're afraid that this was going to take you a long time, you might have wanted to go ahead and jack up the cold in the house just to give yourself some working time before you start to sweat. All of these things are going to come off differently. Hopefully mine will come off really nicely. They should just kind of pry off in some way or another. That's good use for the screwdriver. Ew. So that's pretty gross. But all of them, like I said, will come off a little bit differently, but it should be pretty easy to get the faceplate off. So that's the good news. So you're gonna see, and let me move you in closer. So as you can see, we have little wires that are connecting this into the wall. And what we want to go ahead and do, you cannot take it for granted that you'll remember. I mean, I know it should be like red, yellow, there's little letters behind these. Red, yellow, white, C, probably cyan, and green. So even though you would probably remember that, it's always better to go ahead and label them just so that you do remember. And I'm going to go ahead and take them out to label them. But this is why you have the masking tape and the pen, is just to be sure that you don't accidentally wind up needing me to do a segment on how to change out your air conditioner. Okay, wonderful. So now we have all of our little wires pulled out and labeled. And as you saw, I wound up having to bring in a tinier screwdriver because, again, I didn't know exactly how these were connected. Some of them just are connected by clips. Some of them are little bolts, some are little screws. It just varies. So, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unscrew the plate from the wall. And you do want to be sure that you do not accidentally let your little wires fall back through the hole in the wall. So my little wires are not in any danger of doing that, so that's a good thing. So as you guys can see, this new plate is much smaller than the old plate was, but I'm going to go ahead and try to use, well, that's not real convenient. We're just going to go ahead and punch new holes in the drywall for this because of where the wires come out. So I'm going to go ahead and level it up where I want it to be, and then I'm going to install those drywall screws. So the really nice thing about this new one is that there are no little screws with it. You just shove these wires into the terminals. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my C wire, and I'm going to just shove them all into the appropriate places where they came from before. So again, this is why you want them to have been labeled, and you just want to put things just back exactly as they were. You saw that I had a wire that was stuck back in the back, but it was not being used, so I do not want to try to employ that wire now. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick these in, and you do want to make sure that they're nice and straight. It might be a good idea to have a small set of pliers. So now, all that we have left to do is just to set our actual faceplate on. And I believe that mine just snaps on. Gotta make sure that it gets hooked into that plug correctly. And there we go. So as always, we're up to the moment of truth. I'm gonna flip the breaker on and we're gonna see what happens. Well, I'm excited to say that our thermostat works. Yay! Not that I doubted myself, but it's still always nice to see things come on and act like they should. So it only got up to 83 in here in the process of working, so which is not too bad considering it's about 100 degrees outside. So now I'm just waiting for the air to cool the house back down, but now it can, so that's pretty exciting. Okay, so I'm super excited at how fast and easy that was to install. It was like 10 minutes tops. That was great. And of course, I do have a little bit of a learning curve with this. I still have to put the app on my phone and figure out how all that stuff works, but I'm really excited to have a new one in. It's been a long time coming. So I know you saw how easy that was. Remember, again, if you're putting in just another regular kind of thermostat, the same things still apply. So it doesn't matter either way if you're putting in a smart one, a Wi-Fi one, or a regular one. Just make sure that you get those wires labeled and get them back in the right outlets. So one other thing that you saw was that I would have neglected in the beginning to tell you that you did need a pair of needle nose pliers, like really small ones like I had, and I wound up needing a really tiny little screwdriver to work with the where the wires were originally plugged in. But that was it. So I hope you learned a little bit. Maybe it helped you. Thank you very much to everybody who has already subscribed to the channel. If you have not subscribed yet, please take the opportunity to go ahead and do that now. There's a little button up in the corner. It would be great. Thanks again so much for joining me today, and I will see you again soon.